has been a while. I got a new chair, specifically got it for my birthday. I've had my birthday, and I've procrastinated, honestly. Like, part of it is because I currently don't know how to maintain energy on my days off at the moment. So if I have a big stint of being in work nearly every day or every day, I'm just exhausted. And I honestly, kudos to all the YouTubers that manage to do this while working a full-time job and stick to schedule. Like, it's impressive, honestly. Like, you can tell how much time has passed just by how much hair I have. You know, that's where we're at right now. I've just honestly been stuck as to what I wanted to do. Like, I think the problem is there's a difference between what I want to do and what I have the skills to do. Because I'd love to make videos like the ones where, you know, it's a time lapse of my day and I take you round and, you know, I set you up different places and, you know, it's very movie-esque and, you know, I do voiceover and this, that and the other, and I make it very aesthetic and all this kind of stuff. I don't know how to edit that. I don't even know if you can edit that on free software, which is all I can afford at the moment. And even if you could, I wouldn't know where to start, and it's very daunting. And I know that there's probably a plethora of tutorials and I just need to actually look for them. But I think at the moment I am just stuck at that. Well, this is what I want to do and I want to make it good. Or, you know, at least average. Like, and I'm like, I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what to do. So that's where I'm at the moment. And it is stressful because I know I said I wasn't going to set a schedule and stuff like that, and I don't think that was necessarily the wrong thing to do, but I am very aware of time passing me by, and I am very aware of how much time is passing since I made my last video. And then obviously you get stressed because you're like, oh god, I need to make a new video at some point, but oh god, I don't know what to make, and oh god, I don't know how to, like, even if I get an idea, I don't know how to film it and or edit it or whatever, and it's, so then you just don't make anything. And that's not good, because then you haven't made anything. Like, there's not even that much going on in my life, so it's not even that I've been, apart from work, I haven't been doing that much, really. Like, I literally had a week off for my birthday last week, and I literally just, it was so nice to just, I think I got through like 6 books, and it was just nice. So it's not even like I'm doing much. You know, it's not like I'm going on, it's not like I've got, you know, several business meetings and, you know, every single family member under the sun is coming to visit. And, you know, and there's events to run, and it's like, no. I'm not even, I can't even be like, oh yes, I've been, you know, in my writer's retreat, and I've been writing thousands and thousands of words and pages upon pages, and I'm like, I haven't even been doing that. Like, it's supposed to be Camp NaNoWriMo this month, and I signed up for it and I haven't touched it. Like, I'm not even writing anything from scratch. I'm rewriting something that I have in front of me that I just need to put on a screen with my keyboard. I haven't even done that, so I don't know if it's just because I've worked a few weeks of like full-time or close-ish to full-time, and my brain's just gone, we weren't expecting this many hours. We have used full brain capacity and all you have left is mush. Like, I don't know if that's the case, because I've worked full-time jobs before and I've been able to write stuff. So I don't know if I'm just older. Like, I hit 27. I mean, I was having this problem when I was 26 as well, but like, I've just hit 27 and it's just like, blah. I have no idea. I've also had like a few existential crises, like, since my last video. Like, I read a bunch of, like, because I am eco-conscious, as I said in my book ban video. I am quite eco-conscious, and I think that's just been getting to me a lot, especially because, like, it doesn't matter what you look at or where you look, everything is like made in China or somewhere similar, or made out of non-recyclable things, or, you know, you don't know where they've come from some of the time as well, or you don't know what they're made of some of the time, and they're not recyclable, or they fall apart and they're designed to fall apart and all this kind of stuff. And I literally had like a mini breakdown in the middle of TK Maxx because it was just so much, and I was like, because then I was like, oh, well, I can, you know, support small stores and, you know, like, handmade stuff that people in the UK have made and stuff like that. But, like, unless I can get myself out to a craft fair, of which there are, like, none near me, like, then my brain was like, yeah, but then, you know, there's mileage in a van or something, which is CO2 and, you know, petrol fumes and all that kind of stuff, and then that's a carbon footprint, and I can see why people just give up, honestly, and just go, F it. Especially, like, you'd think it would be easier in, like, rural communities. But because we're so far away from anything, because apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently we had a zero waste store near us. Like, it'd been for 5 years. I mean, to be fair, it was most of those 5 years was when I was in Manchester in uni, but it'd been there for 5 years, and by the time I found it, it had shut down because it just didn't survive lockdown, honestly. Like, you know, cost of living crisis, they had to rack the prices up, and understandably no one could afford, because it's a rural community, we're not rich. So as soon as that closed down, the nearest one to me is like Liverpool, I think, or somewhere like that, and it's like, that's like 2 hours on the train to get some cereal and some rice and like soap, and it's like also an expense, so it's like like, I'm not rich, so I can't afford to be doing that all the time. And I know the idea is to buy in bulk and then you bring it all back and then it lasts for ages, but it still adds up. And I know I could just grin and bear it and like just deal with it. And but yeah, so I think I've just been very, very stress-brained, which is ironic considering I think some of the books that I read, at least 2 of the books that I read, were like quote unquote like personal development books. Not really for like I bought them because I think I need help. I just thought, you know, they might have some tips and tricks that could help me out here and there, and they probably do. But yeah, it's just figuring out how to fit that around my life, because I don't have a fixed schedule, and I think that's what's doing me in. Because I work shifts, that means that from one week to the next, I'm doing different hours, I'm in different days, so I can't have, you know, I mean, I could, so I could have, you know, like, Monday, clean the kitchen, you know, Tuesday, like, film a video, Wednesday, do this, Thursday, do that. I can technically do that, but then some days I'd be doing that before or after going to work for a whole day, for like 8 hours. So, and obviously if the shop's been completely dead, it's not much of a problem. But if we've been really, really busy, like today I ended up like completely redoing 2 of the sections in the store. You know, just finding duplicates and making sure they were put out and all this kind of stuff, which took me like 4 hours or something like that. Like it took me like a chunk of the day. You know, and that's exhausting. And to be fair, even when we haven't been that busy, like I'm an introvert, and just being around people all day, like especially strangers in a shop, is very exhausting. And I keep forgetting that that's an exhaustion that I feel until I get home. And Kenna's like, "Hi sweetie, how was your day?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna go nap." Because I'm exhausted. So I haven't even had the brain power to like come up with video ideas, because I have some sort of vague, you know, I want to be able to do some on books. I want to be able to do some on like charity shops and stuff like that, because and then that could go into doing like videos even on clothes and like I know you're supposed to find a niche, and my niche would be books, but like honestly I am not just made of books, and I would run out of things very, very quickly, just especially like my books are such a hodgepodge. I wouldn't know how to make these into a video. I'm also really, really awkward because I don't mind giving reviews like in writing. I'm just not very good at scripting them. Because I have gotten some more books since my book ban. Because I got through quite a lot. But maybe I was a bit too hasty with going back onto that. Because that's the thing, I feel more comfortable actually getting books, especially from like charity shops and things, because I am actually working through them. I am actually reading them at a steady pace. Like on my week off, like I said, I literally read like 5-6 books. And so I think as long as I keep up this pace, working in a bookshop absolutely helps with that. Because you just feel the urge to read even when you're at work, just because obviously you're surrounded by books, you're thinking about books all the time, you're talking about books. Weird car. Like the thing I'm reading at the moment is this one, which is very interesting. It's because hilariously, I haven't read her fiction. I have no idea what her fiction writing is like, but this is very good. So maybe I should write her. But to be fair, she has the like giant Bible-sized ones, doesn't she? Labyrinth has, I think. So maybe when I've got like a month free, I'd be able to get through one of those. Because yeah, I've read quite a few. Like I can literally get down what I read like last week, which are these ones. So I've read Queer Heroes of Myth and Legend by Dan Jones, not the Dan Jones that I thought it was, which was false advertising, because that's what it was advertised to me as. And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. You know, historian and, you know, man with lots of words has written a book on queer history. Fair enough. It's a bit out of, you know, ancient kings, but fair enough. He's probably done his research. So I was very confused when it was this big. And then I was also very confused when the writing style was very different. Like, it's very quirky, I guess. Like, it's very, you know, leaning more on the humor and like pop culture references and all that kind of stuff. But it was fine as a starting point for a lot of these points. Like, it's not the be-all and end-all. Like, each section is far too small for that, and I at least prefer a lot more in-depth information on things, but as a starting point, it's fine. And then something I'd never actually read as a child is How to Train Your Dragon, and I did like it. I wasn't a fan of the illustrations. Like, I think they just made me uncomfortable, but apart from that, the story itself, really good. Really enjoyed it. Obviously different from the film, but I kind of knew it was going to be going into it. But yeah, it's a good one. And then next up is The Little Book of Hygge, which is this one. You can't really, it's a bit too shiny to see the Danish Way to Live Well is the shiny bit that won't come up on camera. I love this. I especially loved it as I was going through it and I was going, I do that to like everything. Apparently I'm just very hygge. Apparently I'm just very Danish. Who knew? And then another one, like, this makes it look like I was going through something. I wasn't. I just, especially because it's just like self-care for tough times. It's one of those things where I was just very interested in to see if there was any tips, because obviously it's great to have it when, you know, you're going through a tough time. Like, last year I moved like 4 times in 1 year. That was a tough time. So something like this, like, it's basically going, look after yourself and remember to look after yourself when you feel like absolute garbage, because that's when you need to do it the most. So it was pretty good. Like I said, I don't know how applicable it is to my life right now. So I couldn't exactly be like, oh, this is the most life-changing book ever, because I wasn't like in the midst of the time when I'd need it the most. But it was good. It made sense. Some of the points were definitely good. I probably have to flick through it to remember them, but yeah. Next is Atomic Habits by James Clear. The points it made, good. The fact that it kept using the easy example of diet culture and exercise, not great. Like, that's not the area that I need help with. And also, like, if you are, like, if you do feel like you're more unhealthy or something like that, it does give off a vibe of, like, you know, diet culture and, you know, fat phobia and all that kind of stuff, which I don't think it was necessarily what he was going for. I think it's just that thing of, it was just an easy example, but he kept using it, and it's just like, pick something else. But the idea of, like, habit stacking and sort of, like, making your bad habits really awkward to do, that made sense. But also the thing of, like, give yourself a punishment if you do a bad habit is terrible for people with, like, depression or anxiety. Like, it does not take mental health or any kind of mental disorder into account, because it's like, so if you're perfectly, like, mentally able and, you know, you think, quote unquote, normally, fine, this will probably help. But if you do suffer from a condition, or you're neurodivergent or anything like that, I would pair this with something else that's more applicable to the way you think, because it doesn't take that into consideration. Because that's the problem. Most people do think normally. So this will work for most people, but... So yeah, take it with a pinch of salt, is all I'd say. Next up is another Hygge book. So me and Kenneth went to go see his mum in Manchester recently, and we were sat down in the Waterstones Cafe in the Arndale, and we were literally, and the, like, housing section, like, you know, like the homes interiors, like, section, was literally across from it, and I saw it, and as soon as we finished our coffee, I beelined for it, and I was like, I am getting this. Because I'd literally, the book on Hygge, I read that on my birthday. Like, it was the coziest birthday ever. I literally just sat there, read Hygge, and had some, like, you know, like, coffee shop jazz on in the background, or some, like, fantasy music, and just chilled and read a book, and managed to finish my book before my parents came to visit. So it was a good time. But yeah, this actually, I think, has a lot of tips that I think are very, very interesting. One of which is, like, Hygge washing, kind of like greenwashing, like things labelled as Hygge when Hygge is nothing to do with things. Like, yeah, there are some things that seem more Hygge, like having books, coffee, warm blankets, stuff like that. But it's supposed to be about your favourite things. It's supposed to be about things that make you homely. And so having, you know, £300 warming blanket, or a fancy gadget, or £200, like, pair of stretchy leggings, that's not really Hygge. So if something's saying that, squint at it and go, are you though? But also the fact of eating around a table can make you happier and healthier, because I will not lie, me and Kenneth are terrible for just sitting in front of the TV, because I'm rewatching Queer Eye, and he's watching it for the first time with me, because season 7 came out, and so we're literally watching from the beginning. And so we have just been watching that with dinner. So I am trying to move us from doing that to watching it after dinner. And then there's other things as well, as making sure you've got enough light. I did find it quite funny when it had a bit on, where is it? Oh yeah, shelf development. And it says country average number of books. And the country with the most average number of books is Estonia with 218. I have like 3 times that number. And I was just like, and quickly turn over. I think it literally said, having above 350 books is not associated with any additional effect on like your mental health or your education. And I was just like, well, you say that, but it's true. It's absolutely true. I have a lot of books. I have gone through some and gotten rid of them in terms of they're downstairs in a bag waiting to go to the charity shop. I haven't actually got them there yet, and so every now and again I'm like, maybe I should just put them all back on the shelf, and I'm like, no. But yeah, anyway, there's that one. And then the book that gave me an existential crisis and didn't mean to is this one, The Sustainable-ish Living Guide, everything you need to know to make small changes that make a big difference. So she emphasizes the ish, and she's like, it starts small. Obviously, if you've got a small budget, you can't go straight to eating organic, and you know, if you live in the middle of nowhere, you don't have access to a zero waste store and stuff like that. But it was something she said where it's like, oh, if you do this, that, and the other, yeah, it's like every time you buy fast fashion, you're casting a vote for child labour, sweatshops, people working in unsafe conditions, and like all of this kind of stuff. And I was like, but what if you don't have a choice? Am I still casting that vote? And that's what paralyzed me in the middle of TK Maxx. So I was like, well, everything's made in these countries and I can't escape it. And so everyone, like, they're not making it easy to go green or even just, you know, ethically source stuff because it's so hard to get hold of things. Like, we were literally just looking for coat hangers. Literally just looking for clothes hangers. And literally everything was made in China. And, like, I'm pretty sure, like, obviously, some of the factories in China, probably fine. Probably, you know, paid a decent wage and all that kind of stuff. But the amount of stuff that comes from there, that will not be the case everywhere. So it was a bit like, I don't know what to do with this information. And I'm just very stressed. And I don't want to be voting for this, that, and the other, but what if you don't have a damn choice? So yeah, very, very good book. Try not to do what I did and take phrases like that too much to heart, because it is very difficult. And, you know, if you're on a budget and you live in the middle of nowhere and that's all you've got access to, that's all you've got access to, and that's not... So yeah, the thing that I took away from this is just literally, if I don't need it, don't get it. Which is very, very hard for someone who's apparently part magpie and just needs all the shiny paper things. So yeah, I would definitely go into a book like this carefully and sort of like know where you are, what your circumstances are, what you can and can't do, especially at the moment. Like, obviously, if I suddenly get 3 promotions in a week and I'm earning, you know, like a stupid amount of money, I can absolutely go raid the big cities for all these zero waste stores and hop on trains and go to all these craft fairs and, you know, XYZ, get all these, you know, that ethically made t-shirt for 80 quid or whatever like that. But right now, I can't do that. So right now, I just have to go like, okay, if I don't need it, I don't buy it. which is also very hard when you live in the middle of nowhere, and you'd think like, oh, go for a hike, go for a walk. There's no buses to the hikey-walky areas. There's only buses to the town centres. And there's nothing to do there except mooch shops. So, and I'm the kind of person who feels very awkward leaving a shop without buying it, unless it's got a cafe, in which that's fine because you've purchased something. But if it doesn't, I'm just like, oh, but I'm just wasting everyone's time. Even though I don't think that of people who come into the store where I work. I mean, sometimes I do, because sometimes it's just a group of kids that have just come in because they straight up don't have anything to do, and then they start making a racket. Then I'm like, come on guys, either buy something or leave. But apart from that, like, you know, browse to your heart's content. Books are soothing. Just make sure you're looking at the books. Or at least are interested vaguely in the books. But yeah, that's where I've been recently. Oh. Yeah. Oh, that's another thing. I have started streaming though. I use a little VTuber thing. Avatar. Mostly because it's a Sunday and I want to be able to just wear really cozy clothes and look like a slimy potato and my room be a tip and no one tell me off for it. But I stream every Sunday at BabyFrog96 on Twitch, and at the moment we're playing Hades. I've literally just got out of Asphodel. Because it took me about, because I only play it on a Sunday, it feels really slow going. Because it took me about 3 weeks to get out of Tartarus, and then it took me about another 3 weeks to get out of Asphodel. Meg still hands my ass to me every now and again. But, you know, that's the way it goes. That's our relationship. But yeah, I'm a lot more active on there. I do have a schedule for that, because Sunday's the only day I have off permanently, because the shop is not open on a Sunday. Because, like I said, it's the countryside. Nothing's open on a Sunday. Because we have lots of churches. So yeah, you can hang out there. I'll put the link for that below. Follow for that. It's usually around 2 o'clock-ish I stream there, just because that means I've got time to have lunch and stuff, and then literally by the time I finish streaming I go eat dinner. So works quite well, honestly. Oh, right, I think I've rambled on enough. Yeah, I'll see what I just need to do is, what I'll probably do actually after I've signed this off, just pressed end, is I will literally just get a notebook out and scroll some stuff down and be like, right, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to do it, that's what I have to research, that's what I have to look up a tutorial for that. I also need to make myself an omelette. So I've literally just come home from work. It's literally like, I need to put something out there because it's been like 2 months and I just haven't done anything, and I'm getting stressed because I was like, oh, but I want to do X, Y, and Z, and it's like, well, I'm not doing X, Y, and Z, so I just need to ramble at a camera and upload it on the damn website. Sometimes all you have to do is just ramble and get it up on the damn website. So quote that, put it on a t-shirt, just pay me. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.